1990, Raphael Rowe was wrongly convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Well, Raphael always maintained his innocence, and 12 years later, his conviction was overturned and he was released.
But that wasn't his final experience behind bars. He now travels the globe experiencing some of the darkest places for the hit Netflix series Inside the World's Toughest Prisons. Raphael joins us now. So you are wrongly convicted. You spent 12 years in prison protesting your innocence. You say in your words that you refused the prison regime, so you were badly beaten, you have the scars to show it. Why would you want to go back?
It's a good question. Why would you want to go back? Because what I witnessed, what I experienced, nobody saw. Nobody witnessed or saw what I experienced. So I wanted to take people into a world, this secret world of prisons, and show them what life is really like in prison. So it's not about sensationalising violence or drugs. That's evident in prisons. We know that because we see it in programmes on the news all the time. We read it in newspapers. But what does it actually mean?
And is part of this for you as well to kind of open up a broader conversation about rehabilitation and if this prison system that we have works?
Absolutely. It is a balance, isn't it? When you send somebody to prison, you want that individual to be released, a rehabilitated person, or at least a person that's not going to go on to commit another crime and therefore another victim. Yeah. So finding out how some systems around the world, different cultures, balance security, containing somebody who's committed an horrendous crime like murder, and rehabilitation, making sure that person comes out and doesn't commit another crime, another victim.
Well, these are prisons all over. Many of the prisons you've gone to, when you look at the list, or you watch the series, obviously, you think, why on earth would any foreign government want you or allow you to go in and expose their system?
They don't see it as exposing their system. They see it as opening the challenges that they face. You know, in short, we see stories of prisoners coming out and committing further crimes, and they want to show people the challenges of trying to keep drugs out of prison, treating people humanely when they don't have the resources to provide meaningful activities. In one of these episodes, they have bingo. Now, some people might say bingo in a prison, men and women in prison interacting, but it's about the humanity. And if you can get into the mindset of the prisoners, it can change their behaviour. And so that's one of the keys why they let me in. You know, they want to show people how difficult the challenge is of rehabilitating people.
I mean, you're not just reporting on it, you are living it. I mean, you are there for the week, you have a strip search before you go in, you are bunking in with an inmate, some of them incredibly dangerous. Are you not fearful? I mean, I know it's something you've experienced before, but still.
Ollie, I'm frightened every time I go in. Every time I enter a prison, I step off the prison van, I go through this experience of being strip searched. It takes me back to the reality of what I experienced for 12 years because it happened to me. But it's important because I think I try to do it in a grown-up way, in a sensible way, like I say. That's not sensationalising this degradation of being stripped naked. And I'm doing it on camera, and it's not for show, it's to show that you are stripped of your identity from the moment you walk through the prison gates and you become a number, or you become a murderer or a rapist or a thief, whatever it is they deem you to be. And immersing myself in their lives means I get more out of the prisoners and the prison staff and the people that work in the prisons. They're more willing to open up to me, even though they know there are cameras capturing our conversations. They relax, they trust me, and they share insights that you don't otherwise get to hear or see.
Not many of those inmates outside, perhaps, of the ones who've been briefed would know your story, why you were there, what you were doing. In Moldova, you were sharing a cell with a man who killed 2 people. I think in Bosnia, you were sharing a cell with a man who was a crime boss and actually had killed so many people couldn't really remember. Now, the reason I ask that is because you've said that you were scarred when you were in the prison system here, physically scarred. Do those scars put you in further danger because they think, oh, here's a hard guy coming in?
I think there is a persona. I think a prisoner, and when you're in that very tight environment and you're dealing with some of the most manipulative, dangerous, conniving individuals, they do pick up on your aura. So if they don't know that I'd spent time in prison, the questions that I'm asking these individuals gives them an insight that I know more than just being a journalist who comes in and just wants to nose about their lives. So our conversation starts to reveal that I know more. And then, yeah, the physical knowledge and the psychological questions does expose more. So they kind of get to understand in the same way I get to expose the stories or open their stories more quickly otherwise.
And prisons vary. I mean, you talk about there was the prison in Cyprus and the guards there, very different from anything you'd experienced anywhere else, quite welcoming.
It wasn't always like that. They used to brutalise and beat the prisoners.
Right.
And then this progressive director, Anna, came in and she done something that no one had ever done before. She treated the prisoners, regardless of their crimes, with humanity. And they responded by reducing the amount of offences that they committed in the prison and then go out to become law-abiding citizens. So it really is about how they changed that routine. But Cyprus was a progressive place where they do think hard about humanity and rehabilitation. It's a place I've never been to before. You know, I've been to lots of prisons, as you say, and I've experienced lots of different cultures and the way that they do it. Cyprus does it very differently. I witnessed a wedding in there, watching people play bingo, you know, female prisoners interacting with male prisoners. You know, at one point I thought it was all a bit of a get-up and it was a bit of a show, but the reality is it was real.
On that subject of it being show, when you have got a camera in there, bearing in mind that many of these people who are behind bars have the gift of manipulation, and that could be, for many of them, how they managed to get their victims to succumb because they were manipulated. How can you be sure that the person you're talking to is not actually manipulating you and us watching because there's a camera in their face?
I think two things. One, I spend so much time with them, I see through and get through the BS, you know, so I get past that point. So the moments you see in the show, obviously I spend days in there, hours, talking to these individuals, get rid of the bravado, the big I am stuff, and get down to the nitty-gritty of who they were before they committed the crime, such as murder, and go in prison, and the 15 or 20 years that they've been in prison, the person they are today. So I don't go in there with any kind of judgment. And that really does make a difference. Sometimes I'm talking to individuals who have never told their story before, ever, to anybody. So I'd like to think my experience of being a former prisoner and the amount of stuff I've done really does cut through that kind of manipulation of me.
Well, stay safe, you, because I know you'll be doing more. Inside the World's Toughest Prisons, Series 6 is on Netflix right now. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely fascinating.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.